Hey everyone, my name is Andy Barninger. I'm here with Myotrend to bring you one of my favorite recipes. So today what we're going to be doing is we're going to be cooking with a lot of fresh green ingredients. We're going to be using kale, broccoli, some carrot chips, as well as some just regular chicken breast. So to begin this recipe, what we need to do is we need to boil some water and preheat the oven to around 400 degrees. The next thing we need to do is we need to start prepping our ingredients. So to begin, we're going to start with our broccoli. We just want something that we can easily saute, toss together, and still has a little bit of crunch to it. And we want to make sure all of these pieces are kind of bite-sized pieces, so something like that. As you can see, it's probably about as big as, I don't know, $1/2. But then all the larger pieces we just want to cut down just so they cook quicker and it's not as difficult to eat them. So once that's done, throw it into a bowl. From here, what we're gonna do is, remember we had this water boiling from earlier? We're actually gonna take this broccoli, throw it into the boiling water, cover it, set a timer for about 7 minutes, and we're just gonna let that chill back there. Next thing we're gonna do is we're actually going to prep our kale. So the kale only comes in a bunch like this. For the purpose of our recipe, which serves about 2, we're actually going to probably only use about half of this because this is a lot of kale. So pull off some of these. So have about that much. And what we want to do is, you can eat this stalk, but it's really woody. And since we're going to be eating it raw, I'm just going to be cutting it off. So chop that off, set it to the side. And to do this is just a really quick chop. You just want to get it thin, just so it's really small, bite-sized pieces. So what I'm going to do, I'm going to cut it down the middle. And then I'm just going to chop. Just give that a nice chop through. So we have these small little feathered pieces. And what we're going to do, we're actually going to take this, place it over in our larger bowl, because this is going to be a base for our, as you can see, our broccoli is done. Broccoli is nice and green, nice and vibrant. So what we're actually gonna do is put it into our colander. Make sure that's nice and drained. Come over here and grab our bowl. So now that that's prepped and ready to go for us. Before our broccoli was done, I was actually gonna show you how to prep the kale. So I'll show you how to do that right now. But if I take a step backwards, when I'm cooking, what I like to do is take a mixture of salt and pepper. It's normally about 75% salt and about 25% pepper. So what I'm gonna do is I'm gonna take about a 1/4 teaspoon or half a teaspoon of that mixture and just nicely sprinkle it over the kale. Next, what I'm gonna do is take some olive oil and put about half a tablespoon. So from there, what I'm gonna do is I'm just gonna toss it. So it's gonna be a nice salad base for our bowl. So now what we're gonna do is we're actually going to prep the chicken. So chicken, really simple, really easy. What we're gonna do is we're actually going to take about, I'm gonna take about 1 pound because this is serving 2 or 3. It's a little heavy on the protein, but if you're watching this video, you probably don't mind. So what I'm gonna do is actually remove a lot of the cartilage, a lot of the skin along the outside, just because it's chewy and you really don't want to eat that. So after our chicken is nice and cleaned, what we're actually going to do is we're going to score it. So scoring it is essentially just putting slices down the top of the chicken breast, and what that's going to do is it's going to allow it to cook more evenly and more faster. So we're scoring it. What I like to do is I like to do about diagonal like that, and make another X like that on one side, then flip it over and do the exact same thing. So we're going to do this with both of our chicken breasts. Before we go any further, what I'm going to do is I'm going to take some of our salt and pepper mixture and just season both sides of it. So what we're going to do next, after our chicken breast is nicely seasoned, I'm going to grab one of our other bowls here. We're actually going to pour in, this is about a tablespoon of agave nectar and 2 tablespoons of sugar-free syrup. And why did I mix agave and sugar-free syrup is the syrup, I want to add a little bit of sweetness, but since this doesn't have sugar in it, it's not going to caramelize. And remember, that's the burning of the sugars. So we added the agave because what the agave does is it actually has real sugar in it. So that's actually going to caramelize. And we're actually going to be making a barbecue sauce for this. So 2 tablespoons of sugar-free syrup, 1 tablespoon of agave, and we're going to mix it in this bowl. And next what we're gonna do is we're actually gonna add some sugar-free barbecue sauce. And once again, this is where the agave comes in handy because you want this to be able to caramelize. So with the sugar-free syrup, sugar-free barbecue sauce, it won't do that. But adding the agave, it'll actually caramelize nicely. So we're actually gonna be using about a 1/4 cup of this. And then about a teaspoon of chipotle hot sauce. Then we're going to take this, mix it up nicely, transfer it to our sheet pan from earlier, then just nicely coat the chicken breast. And we're going to flip those over. So now that our chicken is coated in the barbecue sauce that we made, we're actually going to come over to the oven and preheat a pan. We're going to do it over medium-high heat. Next, we're going to grab some coconut oil. And I have a little extra here, but we're going to use about a tablespoon in the pan. And we're going to let that basically warm up a little bit. And in the meantime, while that's heating up, what we're gonna do is we're gonna take our final 2 ingredients, what we're gonna saute, which is our broccoli from earlier. And if you remember from when I first introduced it, we had some carrot chips. So I opted for carrot chips instead of actually cutting the carrots because they look good, they're easy to prep, and it's less work. So basically what we're gonna do is we're gonna saute the broccoli and the carrots together when the chicken is done. But first we're gonna do this chicken. We're gonna sear it nicely on both sides. We're gonna throw it on a sheet pan and bake it in the oven. Remember, we preheated the oven to 400. So we're gonna bake that in the oven until it reaches 165 degrees. And then we're going to saute the vegetables. So as you can see, our coconut oil is nicely, it's completely liquid. And if you're here, you can hear it kind of crackling a little bit. So we use coconut oil because it has a higher smoke point, and it also has a great flavor for a dish like this because it's lighter, it's more California style, so we want that lighter flavor. And so we use the coconut oil for the smoke point, the flavor, and the fact that it's an MCT. So basically, an MCT, it's a medium chain triglyceride. Essentially, it's a fat that's metabolized much more quickly. Therefore, if you're really watching your fat intake, using an MCT you may be able to push your fats a little bit higher because they're actually metabolized more quickly than, let's say, an olive oil. So what we're gonna do here is we're actually gonna take the chicken, throw it into that pan. Remember, this was over high heat, because what we wanna do is we really wanna nicely sear that chicken. And we're gonna let it cook for about 2 minutes on each side. So it's gonna cook 2 minutes, then we're gonna flip it. Then once we flip it to the other side, what we're gonna do is we're gonna throw it in the oven to let it finish. So what we're gonna do, pull the chicken out of the pan, has a nice sear on it. turn that heat down, and we're actually gonna take it and throw it in our oven. So this will take anywhere from 10 to 12 minutes to cook. I'm gonna start a timer for 10 minutes to begin. And now we can move on to prepping our final ingredients, which is the broccoli and the carrots. So what we're gonna do is, since the chicken's cooking, our kale is done, we're actually just gonna prep these vegetables. So remember, we had the broccoli and we had the carrots. So what we're gonna do is we're gonna take about a half a tablespoon of coconut oil, throw it into our pan, let that cook down, get hot. So when you're letting oil come to temperature, you want to do it for about 30 to 40 seconds. Just let it come to temp. So now what we're going to do is we're going to take our broccoli, throw it in that pan. Also going to take our carrots, throw them into that same pan. Just toss them up a little bit. So in this pan, we're going to put remember our salt and pepper mixture from earlier? So put about a quarter teaspoon in here, maybe half a teaspoon. And we're going to be sauteing this for probably about 4 to 5 minutes, just to get a nice caramelization on the outside. But in the meantime, what we do have is our chicken. So, barbecue chicken from earlier. So while our broccoli and our carrots are finishing up, we're gonna finish basically assembling the rest of the bowl, then toss those in last. So what we're gonna do, grab our chicken from earlier, using our clean tongs. Just gonna pull it over here. Set that off to the side. Grab our bowls. So what we're gonna do is we're gonna take that, put the kale in there. Remember, this is our kale, salt, pepper, and olive oil. Just a little bit of olive oil, just add a nice little flavor to it. Then what we're gonna do next, we're gonna run and grab our vegetables. A nice little sear on them. What we're gonna do here, set that off to the side. Now we just have our chicken left. So with our chicken, what we're gonna do is just gonna cut it on a nice little bias. Remember, we scored it from earlier, so the scores in this are deep enough where actually, since I'm cutting on a bias, it's actually cubing up pretty nicely. So, serving something in a bowl, you never want like strips, or like, I wouldn't serve an entire chicken breast on here because it's a pain in the butt to actually cut, because of course it's a bowl. So you actually want cubes. So since we scored it earlier, you have nice little cubes that you can just throw in the chicken breast, throw in the bowl. And what we're gonna do, and if you do need to cube it anymore, just take your slices and just cut them into cubes. So then you can take them, throw them nicely on the top of that bowl, and voila, there you go. Let's give it a try. So I want to get some of the chicken, some of the broccoli, and some of the kale in there. It's delicious. So it's really fresh. It has a nice balance of sweet, salty, savory, and you get that umami flavor in there. So overall, just a great, just wholesome dish. Pretty low carb. You only got the broccoli, the carrots, and the kale in there, but high protein, low carb. And if you're looking for a pretty macro-friendly dish, you have it in this. Thank you guys. I hope you enjoyed this recipe. Again, my name is Barninger. You can find me at The Performance Chef. Keep an eye out for further content from Myotrend.